Welcome back to Retro Rebound. In today's video, we are getting ready for Into the Spiderverse, and we've talked about Spider-Man games pretty much every single month this year, but now we're ramping up with the perfect set of video games. Today, we're talking about Spider-Man Edge of Time. But before any of that, I gotta tell you about today's sponsor, which is Pixel Starships, and I think you Retro Rebound fans are really gonna like this one, so go ahead and let's check it out. Pixel Starships fits the Retro Rebound vibe. You know, when we talk about games here, our favorites are the ones with pixel art. And Pixel Starships is a game where you can build and manage your own starship in an MMO world by commanding every aspect of your ship, from power systems to the crew to mining to battles. And one of the reasons I've really found myself enjoying it as I play it during times when videos are rendering, just a quick pick up and play here at the office, is again that art style. And I love space. You all know I'm a big sci-fi geek. So for me, just firing it up, exploring the great beyond, seeing what's out there, and fighting other ships is such a delight. This game can be played on both mobile or computer, so it's up to you. You'll see me playing on my tablet. You can join millions of other players, as Pixel Starships has passed 8 million players. So if this sounds great to you, then download the game with the link in the description and receive 100 free Starbucks on your arrival. Then use the promo code RETROREBOUND125 after registering to get an additional 125 Starbucks. The day the movie comes out, we're getting into the Into the Spiderverse video game. Cannot wait, so be there or be square, you dork. Anyway, today, ladies and gentlemen, we are celebrating the lead up to Into the Spiderverse, and what better game to start things off with than the absolutely mid Spider-Man Edge of Time. Got lots of thoughts, lots of feelings here, clearly, that I gotta get off my Spidey chest. So if you're new here, you're into video game retrospectives, nostalgic content, all that good stuff, please consider subscribing. And now let's web our way into the complete in-box experience. This cover art goes so hard. You got the usual Spider-Man costume here, the Amazing Spider-Man, but you see here in the reflection is Spider-Man 2099. And I just love that. I just think it goes so hard. It conveys the message of the game. And this goes straight into the title menu. When you see the title menu for Edge of Time, you go, oh, this is gonna be a special game. This is gonna be the best video game I played, the best Spider-Man game I've ever played. And it really opens that way. It's just how it deteriorates over time. But we'll get into that. Anyway, cover art goes hard. The back of the box says, "Fight today, save tomorrow. 2099, a chaotic dystopian future results from the untimely death of Spider-Man. Fight across the span of a century to save the world and Spider-Man himself in this thrilling race against time. Your actions in one world impact the other, and fight with the agility of the Amazing Spider-Man and the technology of Spider-Man 2099. This game came out in 2011. Really bad timing. This was arriving just a few short weeks before what I think is still the best comic book video game of all time, Batman Arkham City. So yeah, this was immediately in the rear view on launch day, even more so when Arkham City drops. Again, 2011, right? So guess what was coming out just about a month later? Skyrim. So yeah, this game got buried really, really quickly. And honestly, it's not like one of those hidden gem moments, in my opinion. Now, as we've covered a lot of Spider-Man, I have seen some love for this game, and I'll explain why. But let's crack open this game here, which, by the way, is going for about like 70 buckaroos. So I warned y'all. I said, get your hands on your Spider-Man games before Into the Spiderverse, and I'll be watching those prices on eBay. Don't you worry. And if I see them go up, you're gonna have an I told you so moment. All right, so the manual, unfortunately, not too much to it. As per usual, as we've covered these Spider-Man games, no real cool, crazy illustrations within them. Black and white with just some white text breaking it down, some webbing along the side, going to the main menu, the heads-up display, and then the Web of Challenges, which is a pretty cool mode to allow you to get some things called portal energy, which you can then use to get combat upgrades, character upgrades, all that stuff, which is shared across the two Spider-Men. And that's it. Then you're in the customer support section with a promotion for what I think is a really underrated X-Men game, an X-Men Destiny, here on the back. But a pretty uneventful, complete in-box experience. Let's talk about this game because Again, I gotta get it off my chest. Spider-Man Edge of Time, I distinctly remember firing it up and just being so thrilled with the opening. You know, it's bold to imagine Spider-Man dying being the start of your story. And again, that title menu carries it all when you see 2099 Spider-Man just carrying Peter Parker, who's dead. It's this moment of, holy smokes, as he's pretty much begging for his life to not be killed by Venom. This friendship and bond between Eddie Brock and Peter Parker is clearly established in this timeline. But you gotta remember, while I'm talking about all of this, the game that it's following up. You see, we were down bad, I'll just put it bluntly, when it came to Spider-Man games. And this was sort of the saving grace. And so when this comes out with 4 different Spider-Men that all play a little differently and all have their own move sets and upgrades, and then the next game comes out and you got half as many Spider-Man with less upgrades, it's a bit perplexing what exactly happened here. But really the story is going to be what ropes you in first and foremost. The problem is what really breaks Edge of Time down is unmet potential. This game is ripe with potential. It says on the back of the box, as I showed, how your actions in one world impact the other. This sounds cool, right? In a perfect world, what's happening here is you can flip between Spider-Man 2099 and the Amazing Spider-Man whenever you please, and you'll do things to solve puzzles, to unlock certain areas in one universe versus the other. That doesn't happen though. It's just really heavily preset moments throughout the game. And as you go from same looking room to same looking room to same looking room to same looking room, with same boring combat to same boring combat to same boring combat, it grows tedious quickly. And this game's like 4 hours long, man. It is not a long runtime at all. And that's why, again, being the follow-up to Shattered Dimensions, the repetition didn't really sit in with this one, because while you had Amazing Spider-Man 2099 and the Symbiote Spider-Man all doing the same hand-to-hand combat, the Symbiote Spider-Man was more powerful, more AoE, whereas the Amazing Spider-Man had the ability to dodge any move at any time and slow down time. That was great. And then, of course, Amazing Spider-Man, you got the classic vibe in, and then Spider-Man Noir was more of the stealth gameplay. So when you break it down to the 2 Spider-Men that are the absolute same, the gameplay falls apart, and the story doesn't utilize the mechanics it's trying to set up for the gameplay to its full potential. So even this time dilemma that's ongoing just doesn't really work out in the game's favor. So what's happening and why is this distortion in time happening? Well, pretty much the lead CEO of this company in Edge of Time went back in time and pretty much had a jump start on technology, which then allowed them to subsequently take over because they were ahead of the game compared to any other pioneer in the space. It's a really cool premise, that Spider-Man dying, like the lore here, the characters here, it all starts off nice and interesting. It's just the repetitive gameplay that truly does kill it for me. But there's no denying that Edge of Time is one of the more unique Spider-Man games because of the way it's structured. You know, Shattered Dimensions was awesome because you had all these different Spider-Men fighting villains, and it had the rogues gallery, but this one's a lot more focused narratively, and I appreciate it for that because it's doing something different. You gotta remember, we're also not getting a tie-in game here like we would get after this with The Amazing Spider-Man, which we just talked about on the channel and was a great one. You're getting a game that's primarily based around Spider-Man 2099, and that's the other missed potential here, is the relationship between Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2099 should be so much better than the disgusting writing I see in this game. But I think they wrote themselves into a corner at some point because Peter Parker is so intentionally dumb in this game, it blows my mind. So Spider-Man 2099 is like, hey, you're gonna die, dude. You kind of need to get out of there. Stop working for this dude. He changed the future. The life you think you have isn't the life you think you have. You got to start working with me here. And I know Peter Parker, Amazing Spider-Man, you know, usually the kind of snobby wisecracker, but I mean, this dude straight up was just resistant from top to bottom. And I'm sitting here thinking in the first hour and a half I'm replaying this game, bro, this could have solved itself if you weren't just being so annoying right now. And I never say that about Spider-Man. And that's when I realized the game not only misses the potential of the narrative, but the potential of the character interactions. Like, you don't want to write a stupid Spider-Man. You just don't. This dude makes gadgets. He beats up all the bad guys. He wins every battle, no matter what it takes. You can't write him stupid. But this game wrote him stupid, and so it makes it tough to get invested despite the high stakes, despite the narrative making sense and why it exists, despite leaping across the century. It's a really cool idea with a ton of missed potential. Perhaps what's most frustrating, though, is, okay, you get these starting frameworks for these characters, but what happens when you build out? So as you're going through all these same looking environments, you're going to find what's called portal energy. And like I mentioned earlier, when we were going through the manual, the portal energy is going to fuel your character-based upgrades, except these characters pretty much share the same exact upgrade trees. And this, again, just disturbed me greatly because I can't help but look at Shattered Dimensions, same developer, and wonder why it all shrunk down so dramatically. And then the other thing working against this is the art style in Shattered Dimensions was more comic booky, whereas Edge of Time goes for more realism. And I also didn't quite understand why we saw such a dramatic shift there. I loved playing this game because it's aged so well. Like, you can fire it up on your PS3 or 360 and still enjoy the visuals. Whereas Edge of Time, I don't know why they went in reverse when they had something working there. Perhaps it's because one story was designed to resemble more of the comic book feel. I mean, again, the Rogues Gallery being there, it makes some sense. But Edge of Time just goes and departs from everything its predecessor did right, down to the raw gameplay mechanics, down to the progression. And I just never understood why. Why did we do this to Spider-Man? Please make it make sense, someone. My guess is, when you're making games and you're getting contract workers in, let's say this project's a disaster and they're going, you know what? I think I'm out of here and I want to be a part of this. Don't use my work. I don't want my name in the credits because I want to make games for life. And if I'm attached to this, this may be the end of the road for me. And so what happens is you got to replace those assets with less than adequate assets. And so I do wonder if something happened here, because there was so much in this game that should have been reused in this game, and you just don't see that. But it's the same developer and everything from Beanox, published by Activision, Marvel license was there. So I do wonder what kind of foul play went down here with this project, but nonetheless, it's a game that's worth reflecting on during this lead up to Into the Spider-Verse because of the multiple dimensions, because of all the different Spider-Men that come together. But unfortunately, in this round of Spideyverse stuff, it didn't go too hot, which again was disappointing. But you had right around the corner Arkham City, which I can't emphasize enough was such a game changer. Is it anecdotal? Yes, but there's no denying, even if you weren't there, even if you didn't experience that launch, Arkham City launching weeks after, that's when the pickup really started of why hasn't Spider-Man got that Arkham style game. So that's what this game was good for. I think it was a necessary step in the path to bringing us to Insomniac, because while eventually Activision would lose the Marvel license, it's because Marvel Games would want to start having more meaningful partnerships that would really lean into the things that would drive popular video games nowadays. And one of them was free flow combat. And we had our chance with Beanox, with The Amazing Spider-Man. But of course, it wasn't until Insomniac teamed up with PlayStation and Marvel that we would get the game that we all dreamed of. But before that, we got these. There's also side content in this game that reuses the already super reused areas, which is fine. It's side, it's optional, the web of challenges. But the issue here is, again, it shines that light on what I was talking about earlier, where the limit in assets and the way they're just constantly reusing them just makes no sense with what was already built before this and what could have been reused. That something had to have gone south, clearly, with this project. Not that it's disastrous, not that it doesn't run, it's just so unimpressive and so unambitious that I just think there was maybe a major change at some point in development. But the web of challenges is going to just send you through a variety of combat challenges, stealth challenges, web swinging challenges, and so on and so forth. And you're going to get these golden spiders and things that are required to help you level up and unlock stuff more and more and more. And you see those flashes of potential, like, because sometimes you can ebb into these challenges whenever you want. Like when there are nice, smooth transitions between the two Spider-Men as you're going from universe to universe, there is that moment of like, we're almost there. And that's what the game is all entirely. It's almost there, but it never quite reaches the heights it should. Anyway, I wish I could talk for more on this game. I know normally we're plenty long-winded on anything, really. Sorry about that. But truthfully, like, there's not much to talk about. You know, the villains are not as interesting. The art style isn't that great. The gameplay isn't that great. The exploration isn't there. The collectibles aren't there. It's just kind of a lifeless Spider-Man game, which is almost an achievement unto itself. But that's Spider-Man Edge of Time, ladies and gentlemen. One of the, I wouldn't say the worst Spider-Man game. I think Amazing Spider-Man 2 takes the cake on that, but definitely one of the absolute worst, for sure. Bottom 3, probably. So with that, I'm looking forward to seeing your thoughts on Edge of Time. Please do fire away with your thoughts on this lovely little Spider-Man game. And with that, I will catch you in our next Retro Rebound on Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. Until then, peace out. And again, if you are interested in checking out Pixel Starships, there'll be that link in the description down below to get you some Starbucks. And on top of that, it's a free download on the App Store. Go ahead and check